Nightly greetings, one and all. William Theo here, homegrown and happy to bring you the major events obtaining here at home and elsewhere on the planet. And tops on tonight's news leaderboard. While the Netanyahu government and the IDF prep for an invasion into refugee haven Rafah, there is a lull or intermission in the armed attacks by Israel against Hamas and the Palestinians caught in the middle. This as the IDF has pulled out of Khan Yunis to recharge and gather themselves for the next major foray or offensive against Hamas and their known sympathizers and supporters. And international pressure mounts on Israel to present a plan to the United States government and the UN on how to protect innocent civilians in their next armed raid or attack against Hamas in Gaza. But for now, Israel will let the Palestinians have a breather from all armed hostilities so they can celebrate solemnly the end of Ramadan, otherwise known as Eid al-First Week. Yet this year's celebration of Eid will undoubtedly be filled with sadness, sobriety, and a sense of hopelessness as Gaza's Palestinians await the next wave of military strikes, mourn the demise of loved ones, and face extended hardship of food shortages, starvation, and forced displacement to the next refugee location. And while El Nino is turning up the level of its dry spells and extended heat period, the DSWD is ramping up efforts to launch its latest farmer assistance program and a feeding and food security project for indigents. It is dubbed Project Lawa at Binhi, respectively, or local adaptation to water access to break insufficiency through nutritious harvest for the impoverished. Under the Lawa program, the DSWD seeks to provide greater and reliable access to water for towns nationwide prone to drought or water shortages by creating small local reservoirs, fixing or rehabbing water harvest facilities, and diversifying water supply sources. On the other hand, the Binhi program seeks to promote the adoption of climate-resilient and sustainable agricultural practices such as communal or urban gardening, vermicomposting, and cultivating disaster-resilient crops, fruit-bearing trees, and mangroves, among others. The main beneficiaries of struggling farmers, indigents, and the poor stand to reinforce their adaptive capabilities during periods of water scarcity and ultimately mitigate the effects of food shortages and extended dry spells as a result of El Nino. Projects Lawa and Binhi are care of DSWD's Risk Resiliency Program through cash for training and work. In other words, the world's biggest manufacturer of semiconductor chips, the TSMC, or Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, is set to invest in a manufacturing plant in the Grand Canyon state thanks to a $6.5 billion grant from the Biden government, a move that could probably cement Joe Biden's victory in the purple and battleground state in November's presidential elections. VOA's correspondent Anita Powell and Levi Stallings report from Washington, D.C. and Flagstaff, Arizona, respectively.
A single semiconductor transistor is smaller than a grain of sand. But billions of them, packed neatly together on a chip, can connect the world, control weapons of war, and someday even drive your car. But U.S. production of this American-born technology has fallen off in recent decades.
As a nation, we used to produce 40% microchips for the whole world. Now we are producing less than 10%.
But on Monday, the Biden administration announced $6.6 billion in funding for the world's top chip maker to build a third facility in the state of Arizona. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company says it will put the U.S. on track to produce 20% of the world's leading-edge semiconductors by the end of the decade. The funding comes from the bipartisan 2022 CHIPS and Science Act, which President Joe Biden highlighted that year in a visit to TSMC's first Arizona facility.
American manufacturing is back, folks. American manufacturing is back.
Engineers say the legislation addresses a key weakness in American chip manufacturing.
We've just gotten in this cycle of the last 15 to 20 years where innovation has slowed down. It's all about financial results, investor payouts and stock buybacks. And we've lost that innovation muscle. And the CHIPS Act, pulling that together with the CHIPS Act, is the perfect opportunity to restore that.
But they say America urgently needs talent. The White House says this new investment could create 25,000 construction and manufacturing jobs. Are there enough workers to feed this need?
Our engineering college is the largest in the country with over 33,000 enrolled students. And still, we're hearing from companies across the semiconductor industry that they're not able to get the talent that they need in time.
TSMC in 2022 broke ground on a facility that makes some of the world's most advanced chips. With each jump, chip production can get more and more complex and expensive. Can the country that made the mighty chip keep up? Biden's betting on it. For Levi Stallings in Flagstaff, Arizona, Anita Powell, VOA News, Washington.
At this juncture, we turn to our Pine City studios and colleague for the latest developments in the Cordilleras. Hala?
Naimbag-aram Pilipinas, apektado di turismo iti Sagada Mountain Province, gapo iti panagkurang ti supply ti danom, gapo iti mapaspasaran nga El Nino phenomenon. Sipod Pebrero, parikutan ti supply ti danom iti Sagada at top destination iti Mountain Province. Adu kadag iti inn ken homestay ti temporaryoan ng rikap gaputa awan ti danom da. Bimasit ngamin ti danom nga agtataod kadag iti ubog. Inaklon ni Mayor Felicito Dula at tunggal Kalgao mapaspasaran ti panagkurang ti supply ti danom ijay Sagada. Nagpatulong dakin ni Senator Francis Tolentino ang nagkarimot iti 5 milyon a pisos para iti potable water ti munisipyo. Pasat iti El Nino Mitigation Plan dati panagramid iti catch basin mausar iti panawon ti Calgao. Mapamplano pa'y ti panakibangon ti water district iti Ili. Iti sa Damag, agar 3 million pesos sa gatad ti fully grown marijuana plants, tinadiskubrikan dinadahal dagiti otoridad, ijay kibungan kan Bakon Benguet. Ijay sityo ka ang Kayapa Bakon Benguet, pinarot dagiti otoridad ti 450 pidaso ti marijuana plants nga gatad iti 90,000 pesos. Iti sa balimot nga operasyon ijay sityo Kamayan Takadang Kibungan Benguet, na-discovery dagiti pulis ti 2,500 pidaso ti marijuana plants ken 20 kilos marijuana stocks nga gatad iti 2,900,000 pesos. Amin dagiti nakumpiskar ang marijuana ket napuuran iti mismo a plantation sites. Manarimaan ti investigasyon dagiti pulis iti pakabigbigan dagiti cultivator ken distributor ti illegal a droga. Agtultuloy ti panagsurungkar dagiti otoridad kadagiti barangay iti naso munisipyo para iti informational campaign may papan iti illegal a droga.